Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight for our free webinar, Integrative Microneedling for Elegant Aging, featuring Diana Horowitz and Amelia Vargas. My name is Jeff Bloom, Education Marketing Manager here at LASA OMS. For over 40 years, LASA OMS has been striving to promote the growth of the acupuncture industry by providing quality products, great prices, and the best customer service, as well as supporting the many schools and continuing education efforts available. With our free webinar series, we intend to provide free educational opportunities taught by some of our industry's most renowned practitioners and educators. I would like to take a moment to acclimate you to the webinar room. To the right of the video screen, you will see 3 tabs: Chat, Questions, and Polls. To chat with other attendees or to communicate any technical difficulties, please use the Chat tab. For questions of our guest speakers, please make sure to use the Questions tab, which is to the right of Chat, and we will be answering questions at the end of the lecture. Please note that each webinar is recorded, and immediately following the conclusion, you will all receive an email with a link to view the video on demand and a copy of the slides. And you may always visit our blog and use the free webinar tag to find all of our previously recorded events. From neuroscience to sports acupuncture to Chinese herbs, you'll find something interesting for every practitioner on the LASA OMS blog. Now for our featured speakers. Diana Horowitz and Amelia Vargas serendipitously discovered motorized microneedling independently of each other in Colorado in 2015. As facial rejuvenation acupuncturists, both trained in the Wakefield technique, they shared a belief in supporting a patient's constitution during any facial rejuvenation acupuncture process. Through more than a year of experimentation, they created their own integrative microneedling protocol to support the health of their patients. In February of 2016, the Acupuncture Association of Colorado interpreted that microneedling is within an acupuncturist scope of practice and appointed them as microneedling co-chairs in their board of directors. Diana and Amelia founded EastWest Microneedling, L.Ac. in 2018 and have developed a 14-hour NCC AOM-approved live course for acupuncturists. Through their live seminars and their new comprehensive online microneedling training program, they help acupuncturists learn how to keep pace with the modern evolution of microneedling while honoring its roots in Chinese medicine. Please join me in welcoming Diana and Amelia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. It's an honor to be here. We're going to start with the basics, with the definition of microneedling. Amelia and I created this definition, so it's from the perspective of acupuncturists, and you'll get a very different definition from, say, a dermatologist.
Really quickly,
Yes.
Can you mute your notifications? It's the little bell icon down on the bottom right-hand corner. I think one of you guys has it on.
Mine is not. Oh, let me see. Ah, there it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Wait, I just lost my view here. Let me see. There we go.
Okay.
Good here.
So, microneedling is the penetration of the skin with tiny, short, and solid needles. This acupuncture, and we mean acupuncture technique, has been used to treat internal and external diseases by the Chinese for thousands of years. In recent modern history, the Western medical and aesthetic establishments have rediscovered and repurposed microneedling to increase transdermal absorption of substances and to improve skin texture, firmness, and clarity. So microneedling is currently being practiced by dermatologists, estheticians, and laypeople all over the world to strengthen and smooth and brighten their skin, as well as treat scars and stretch marks and promote hair growth. And its popularity is growing worldwide, especially in the USA. Some terms that mean the same thing. In the East is a 7-star hammer and plum blossom. In the West, it's microneedling, skin needling, dermal needling, percutaneous collagen induction therapy, microchanneling, and dermarolling is microneedling with a derma roller. But to understand its development, we need to go back in time. So plum blossom therapy is rooted in Chinese medicine. Our information about that is the book Chinese Plum Blossom Needle Therapy by Jiang Meiquan, and it's the only book we could find that's been translated into English about plum blossom therapy. So one thing it says is, the plum blossom therapy, acknowledged as a part of Chinese medical legacy, is a therapy of shallow insertion with multiple needles. This therapy has existed for over 2,000 years. In the Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic, there's a recording of superficial needling, scattered superficial needling, and quick shallow needling, which have laid the foundations for the development for plum blossom therapy. Accordingly, the present plum blossom needle, we think they're referring to the 7-star hammer, was created by later generations. Many acupuncture schools currently teach plum blossom therapy. Maybe you're learning about it as a student, or you already use it in your practice. So our position is that microneedling is a form of acupuncture, and it's another acupuncture technique. Here's another quote from Zhang Meikuan's book. A record of shallow insertion technique found in the miraculous pivot, which is a part of the Ling Shu, says, there are 5 needling techniques that have been developed to treat various diseases associated with the 5 Zang organs. The 5th technique is a quick superficial needling, which involves shallow insertion and immediate withdrawal of the needle without causing any harm to the flesh. It is a technique which, unlike removal of a fine hair, functions to eliminate the pathogenic factors in the skin. So how is it possible to stimulate healing from the exterior, or the Wei level, to the interior, or the Zang Fu and Ying level? I'll read on. Since the cutaneous regions show a relationship and connection to the Zang Fu organs through the channels, meaning meridians and collaterals, it is entirely possible that the pathogenic factors may transmit from the exterior to the interior of the body, or vice versa. That's why tapping on a certain superficial portion, point, or area with the plum blossom needle may regulate the circulation and collaterals, harmonize the yin and yang, and eventually eliminate diseases or local disorders. So when we go back to what we learned in acupuncture school about differentiating syndromes according to the 8 principles, in this case, about the relationship between the interior and the exterior, we know as acupuncturists that pathogenic factors such as wind or cold can invade the meridians and collaterals over time and dive into the Zang Fu organ systems. Diseases caused by an exterior pathogen may begin in the exterior, but in time may affect the interior. However, this interior-exterior relationship can also show up the other way around. So imbalances in the Zang Fu can appear along the meridians and the collaterals and the cutaneous regions of the skin. And as acupuncture energy detectives or diagnosticians, we need to pay attention to where and what kind of skin issues arise so that we can treat the source of the imbalance in the organ systems with our medicine. There are some luminary facial acupuncture teachers that really flesh out, so to speak, this concept. And since this webinar is for licensed acupuncturists and acupuncture students, we're going to assume that you understand the following TCM functions for plum blossom therapy. So plum blossom therapy promotes blood circulation to remove obstructions in the meridians and the collaterals. It disperses swelling and removes dampness. It stops pain and dissipates blood stasis. It harmonizes the yin or nutritive level and the wei or surface level. It reduces heat and toxic substances, and it eliminates pathogenic factors, especially wind, dampness, and heat. So next, Amelia will explain microneedling from a Western perspective. Take it away, Amelia.
Thanks, Diana. So the Western perspective on the skin can be very complicated and in-depth, but there are many There's many definitions that you'll want to understand in order to understand microneedling and the mechanism of microneedling a little bit better. So we have the skin layers, and first is the epidermis. This is the outermost layer of the skin, and it usually consists of 4 layers, although it's 5 layers on the hands and the feet. It's mostly made up of keratinocytes, as well as some other important cells, but we're not going to get into all these different cells today. And although there's a lot of activity that happens in this layer in the skin, it's mainly a protective layer, and it's also partially the layer that partially sheds off with exfoliation as well. Next, we have the dermal-epidermal junction. This is the part of the basal layer, and it's the intertwining part that connects the 2 layers of the epidermis and the dermis. It's also where the stem cells live, and they reproduce, and they're the major target for stimulation with microneedling. Third, we have the dermis. So this is the layer beneath the epidermis. This is where we have connective tissue, blood vessels, hair follicles, oil and sweat glands, nerves, and structures of this other structures of the skin. So then we have some types of cells that we want to go over. The keratinocytes. Many people know the term keratin. This is a scleroprotein that's found in the skin, the hair, and the nails. And it's the most predominant type of cell found in the epidermis, the outer layer of the skin. So these are building blocks of the tough fibrous protein keratin that give structure, durability, and waterproofing to hair, nails, and outer skin. The stem cells, the body's master cells, these contribute to the body's ability to renew and repair its tissues. So unlike mature cells, which are permanently committed to their fate of aging, dying, and then exfoliating off, stem cells can both renew themselves and they can create new cells. If a patch of epidermis is damaged, it's repaired by the surrounding epidermal cells, which migrate in and replace the cells in that area, causing regeneration or healing in that epidermal patch. And then when this happens, a signal is sent to the basal layer, triggering a generation of new cells and to make up for that loss of cells in that area. So it's a chain reaction. Cytokines, these are communicators. They send a communicator protein that signals the stem cells, new cell production. And another term for these communicators are also growth factors. And then lastly, here on this slide, we have fibroblasts. So they're responsible for making extracellular matrix, collagen, and other fibers, and they play an important role in tissue repair and wound healing because they form that structural framework of the skin. So the next concept that we need to get into in order to understand Western mechanism of microneedling is the wound healing cascade. So I'm just going to read a little here. Microneedling stimulates this healing process and repurposes it for the skin rejuvenation. The cytokines, keratinocytes, and fibroblasts are important to the mechanism of action of microneedling. Microinjury of the keratinocytes by penetration to the DE junction stimulates the body's cytokine activity and communication, giving the immune system the false perception of a more significant injury. The fibroblasts are then prompted to produce higher quality collagen that is light, flexible, and soft, and much faster than it would during the normal skin rejuvenation cycle. The main part of this healing cascade takes about 4 weeks, and it involves 4 phases. So first we have the hemostasis stage. This is the first phase, and it's meant to start with the clot. It's meant to start the clotting of the blood and to slow down the bleeding through vasoconstriction. These platelets also start to release initial growth factors and key cytokines, and this phase starts about 5 to 10 minutes after injury. The next phase is inflammation. This involves the recruitment of several types of white blood cells, which secrete cytokines and peptide growth factors. These activate the local endothelial cells, fibroblasts, and keratinocytes to enable wound healing. And this phase starts about 24 to 48 hours after that initial injury. So an interesting concept with inflammation is that the inflammatory responses caused by injury are only helpful in the healing process if they're temporary. Focused studies on this topic have shown that prolonged inflammation is not necessary for effective wound repair and could actually compromise the process of wound repair when it's too inflamed. So really what they find is that the dampened inflammatory process actually helps to reduce the scar formation, and it helps that healing process. So we don't want to cause damage to the skin. We don't want to cause a continuous state of inflammation in order to get that cell regeneration and healing. In fact, what's better is if we don't cause it. So what's really great about microneedling is that it can be used in a way to gently stimulate the skin without causing too much damage and inflammation in the skin. So next is proliferation. This is the phase of wound healing. The major events here include the influx of fibroblasts and the formation of extracellular matrix, which is also called the ECM, including collagen formation, new blood vessels, and cell regeneration. This phase typically starts about 48 hours after injury and lasts up to 3 weeks. And finally, we have the maturation and remodeling phase, which is characterized by both wound contraction and collagen remodeling. This phase starts at 3 weeks post-injury and can even subtly continue up to a year afterward. So a couple side notes on this one is that Typically in the case with an open wound, the collagen cannot grow upwards as it normally would because it doesn't have the same structure of attaching to that DE junction and growing upward in its normal direction. So instead, it has to stratify horizontally, which is the process of what creates a scar. However, with microneedling, there's no open wound, only the tiny little vertical perforations. So the collagen is able to grow directly upward toward the skin towards the surface of the skin and create a stronger, more amplified skin rejuvenation model. One more concept here is regarding collagenase. So, this is part of the process during the maturation stage, and for the crosslinks to produce that stronger tissue and collagen, collagenase breaks down collagen molecules that are not oriented correctly, so they can be replaced with stronger, healthier collagen. However, if this process is stimulated too often, as in with overtreatment, then the collagenase will continue to break down collagen, which is the opposite of what we want. So instead, we really want to give the skin that full time of the healing cascade, that 28 days, to avoid prolonged inflammation and the breakdown of collagenase. Which is why, like with motorized microneedling and stronger non-motorized microneedling techniques, we only do this once a month or once every 4 to 6 weeks. So where is the best place in the skin to promote healing response in the least invasive way? Well, by stimulating even the top stratum basal layer, we are sending biosignals to communicate cell reproduction to the body's stem cells down at that DE junction for a healing and regenerating response, all without truly wounding the skin. These new, younger, stronger keratinocyte cells work their way directly upward, filling in those perforated spaces and creating a stronger, healthier collagen and elastin matrix. So the response to this is what we're looking for with microneedling is a redness, a slight swelling, and a little bit of pinpoint bleeding, although not necessarily a lot of bleeding. And that sweet spot is around that stratum basal layer in the DE junction. So this here is a nice picture of Diana just after receiving microneedling that shows the pinkening in the erythema of the skin, and this is that response that we're looking for. However, I'll say that I do have a number of clients that either don't get very red and they just get that mild pinpoint bleeding, or sometimes they'll fluctuate. Sometimes they'll get red and other times they won't. And I think that this largely depends on how much inflammation and heat they have in their system at that time, because we are releasing heat here. And so you start to learn how to read their skin, but really you want to get some response and reaction in the skin, like that is a little bit of that pinpoint or that erythema. Some people have a little bit of a delayed effect as well. So this brings us to microneedling depth in relation to its functions, since different kinds of needling can produce different kinds of results. So superficial needling, this would be with a 0.25 millimeter needle head on a dermaroller, dermastamper, and very light pressure. This is mainly focusing on transdermal absorption of skincare products, and it helps the products to penetrate deeper into the skin so that it can absorb better into the skin. You're not trying to get any redness or any pinkening with this, and you're really not doing a lot of stimulation. Next, we have medium depth. This is typically a 0.5 millimeter needle head, and we are targeting that DE junction here, which usually measures at a 0.5 millimeter depth. Now, this can vary depending on the person, and the skin kind of has these waving qualities, so it depends on the area of the skin as well. If you're using a dermaroller or dermastamper, then you want to use a medium to stronger pressure. With a motorized device, you'll use a light to medium pressure. Just know that it's not so much about the needle length, it's much more about where you are on the skin and the depth of the skin itself. I often use a 0.25 millimeter needle head with a motorized device, and I use a stronger pressure, and I can get great results that way too. So this technique is medium pressure, is intended to reduce collagen and elastin, tissue remodeling, and it addresses the scar therapy zone. It's great for wrinkles, both shallow and deeper wrinkles, for sagging, for thinning and aging skin, hyperpigmentation, rosacea, enlarged pores, acne and breakouts, healing inflammation in the skin, age spots, UV damage, and overall health and elasticity of the skin. So as you can see, it covers a wide range of conditions. Finally, there's deep needling. So this would be considered a 1 to a 3 millimeter needle head. And this goes into the dermal layer. So you'll see more bleeding here. This would be more targeting for hair loss, more significant or severe scarring, stretch marks, and broader body surfaces where the skin is thicker. And just as a side note, we don't get into teaching this length of technique in our courses, at least not yet. So there's a slow paradigm shift in the Western philosophy around microneedling. The old way of thinking within the cosmetic industry has really heavily relied on damaging the skin in order to create healing response and cell regeneration. More and more Western specialists are realizing that they don't need to necessarily cause that extent of damage, and that more is better philosophy is losing its significance. The new Western paradigm is that you can cause rejuvenation through stimulation and inflammation via biosignals rather than damage, destruction, and inflammation. But to acupuncturists, to Chinese medicine, this is not a new concept. Using our body's own natural healing responses is easy for us to understand. We look at the whole person, the qi, the jing, the wei, the meridians, as well as the connections and relationships and communications between all of our organ systems. The Western paradigm is slowly shifting, and they're beginning to observe these subtle communications within the body that reveal how interconnected it really is. When microneedling was first developed, this was not recognized by the Western cosmetic industry, but they're beginning to see that microneedling, the whole microneedling in a new light, and it's beginning to come full circle, which is really exciting. So we just wanted to share with you our logo, which represents our philosophy and our intention around teaching microneedling. Diana and I created EastWest Microneedling L.L.C. to not only share our research, information, and journey on this modality, but also to bridge the gap of Eastern and Western philosophies when it comes to a modality that has beautifully evolved and crossed over in both of these worlds. On the left, you'll see the image of the plum blossom, and on the right, an image of a spiral, which represents the microchannels and the DNA spiral within Western philosophy. And in the middle is a needle. This represents our integrative approach to microneedling and skincare. So Diana's going to go over some benefits of microneedling in relation to wrinkles and sagging.
All right, thank you, Amelia. So first, I'm going to talk about wrinkles. But let's go back and talk about what are some causes of wrinkles. One is just plumb old aging. As you get older, your skin naturally becomes less elastic and more fragile. And there's a decreased production of natural oils that can dry your skin and make it appear more wrinkled. And that the fat in the deeper layer of your skin diminishes, which causes loose, saggy skin, and that gives more pronounced lines and crevices. But even though the clock keeps ticking and it takes more awareness and work to keep our skin strong and smooth and nourished, it's still possible to soften wrinkles with microneedling, and we see that happen all the time. Next is smoking. Smoking can accelerate the normal aging process of your skin and contribute to wrinkles. The combination of heat and dryness can cause yin deficiency or excess heat. And acupuncturists know that smoke is damaging to both the energetic functioning of the lungs, which controls the health of the skin, and the organ itself. And just know that smoking cannabis is equally damaging to your skin as smoking tobacco. And as cannabis becomes legalized around the country, you'll see its effects more on your patient's skin, and your patients will want to talk with you more freely about it. Then there's dehydration. This can arise simply from not drinking enough water, and it can also be worsened by living in arid climates like Colorado, where Amelia and I live. We tend to see a lot of yin deficiency and dryness patterns in our acupuncture patients here. So a couple more causes for wrinkles are poor diet. Your skin needs several essential nutrients to keep it healthy, such as essential fatty acids and that plump up the dermal layer. My favorite nutrition book that combines a modern understanding of nutrition with Chinese medicine is Healing with Whole Foods, Asian Traditions and Modern Nutrition by Paul Pitchford. And there's great information in there about how to keep your skin healthy through nutrition. And then there's sun damage, and that's a big one. That's a primary cause of early wrinkling and sagging. Exposure to UV light breaks down your skin's collagen and elastin fibers and connective tissue. And in my opinion, we've got to balance our need for generating vitamin D from being in the sunlight with protecting and preserving the integrity of the skin, and that's difficult. And then there's also, repeated facial expressions. So facial movements and expressions such as squinting or smiling lead to fine lines and wrinkles. And each time you use a facial muscle, a groove forms beneath the surface of the skin. And as the skin ages, it loses its flexibility and is no longer able to spring back into place. These grooves become permanent features on your face. So Mary Elizabeth Wakefield, acupuncture facial renewal expert, she considers wrinkles to be the marks of having lived. So emotions that you experience repeatedly over time, they become etched in your face, like these right here. Needling wrinkles with regular acupuncture needles and microneedling can allow us to access those memories, ranging from joyful to traumatic. Some patients treasure certain wrinkles and dislike others because of their emotional associations. And needling wrinkles with both acupuncture and microneedling can promote healing on multiple levels. So where do wrinkles occur? They usually appear around the lips and eyes and forehead where the skin is naturally thinner, and also, as we already said, where we make those habitual expressions such as squinting and frowning and raising the eyebrows, although they can form anywhere on the body. And the TCM philosophy is that they result in qi and blood deficiency and long-standing yin deficiency. I sometimes visualize wrinkles as the cracks that develop at the bottom of a dried up riverbed, indicating the depletion of yin. So how can microneedling help? Well, as we already said, it increases transdermal absorption of skincare products that heal the skin. And the microtrauma to the skin, by using a derma roller or stamper or a device, stimulates that new collagen and elastin, which can improve the thickness and the smoothness of your skin. Now we're talking about saggy skin or skin laxity. And this is another top reason why patients will seek out microneedling. So some of the causes are due to loss of elastin, which gives its skin its tensile and taut quality. It can develop due to the normal aging process, nutritional deficiencies, dehydration, sun exposure, and rapid weight loss. And you'll usually see that like right in here. Sagging skin can occur all over the body, and it's most noticeable around joints, such as the elbows and the knees and the jaw, because the skin in those areas are repeatedly stretched over time. According to TCM, it can indicate yin, yang, and qi deficiency, and especially spleen qi deficiency, as the health of the spleen is reflected in the quality of the flesh. Microneedling can do a better job of strengthening the skin than the underlying muscle, because the needles are so small. They're just going into that epidermal layer. So that's one of the reasons why Amelia and I recommend either combining facial acupuncture and microneedling, or having the ability to choose between modalities according to the needs of your patient. I like to test the sagginess of the skin by gently pinching it to see how quickly it returns to its original position. And a slow return indicates some sagginess and perhaps dehydration. And although it's outside the parameters of this webinar, microneedling can address sagging skin all over the body. So in sum, microneedling promotes healthy, strong, and clear and vibrant looking skin. And that to us is an essential part of what elegant aging looks like. And so while we're not going to spend much time on this, we want you to know that there are contraindications to microneedling that we do review in depth in our courses. And those are numbing cream allergic reaction, uncontrolled immune disorders, hemophilia, a bleeding disorder for obvious reasons, uncontrolled diabetes, active herpes simplex, so that you want to give a wide berth to the area or don't practice it at all, uncontrolled migraines and headaches, and there are some parameters around the time to wait before microneedling, pregnancy, directly over moles, skin tags, and raised lesions, melanoma, for obvious reasons, active inflammatory conditions that are open and weepy, including pustular or nodular rosacea and weeping eczema. And tattoos, you could lighten or fade them accidentally, which people don't appreciate. And then caution, you want to exercise caution with excessively dry skin. Then there's keloid scars, though microneedling can be very effective on other types of scars. And also skincare product ingredients, such as high concentrations of vitamin C, because there really can be too much of a good thing. And now Amelia will share about skincare products that work well with microneedling to address wrinkles and sagging.
Thank you. So first I want to discuss the transdermal absorption rate. It's very important to know that whatever substances you put on the skin during and immediately following microneedling are dramatically absorbed into it. We like to think of microneedling as you would aerating a lawn. It improves the grounds or your skin's ability to absorb water nutrients, but you wouldn't want to follow aeration with polluted or chemical-filled water. I also find this to be an easy way to describe to the concept to clients, because they can easily visualize and understand aerating a lawn. Because of this level of absorption, it's very important to use natural and organic skincare products so that we aren't absorbing chemicals that can damage the skin and body over time. Whatever you put on the skin at the time carries a higher risk of causing a more severe allergic reaction or irritation than it would without the microneedling. So you need to take all of that into consideration. Within the protocols of these treatments, you'll first want to thoroughly cleanse the skin with a gentle, non-harsh cleanser. And then you can use a natural toner, hydrosol, witch hazel, or colloidal silver as an antiseptic for prepping the skin. Some practitioners use alcohol, but I find that to be pretty harsh and drying for the face. Also, using a gentle organic exfoliating product can be beneficial to sloughing off some of that dead skin buildup before microneedling, but you don't want to use any hydroxy acids or peels here. It has to be very gentle. So during or after microneedling is a great time to use ingredients that are going to support cell regeneration and that are anti-inflammatory. So we'll get into a couple of examples for you, especially some ingredients that are great for wrinkles, sagging, and aging. But just a little side note, it's very important that you get clear with your clients of any known allergies, because no matter how good an ingredient is for the skin, if they have an allergic reaction to it and you're using it with microneedling, it will make that allergic reaction even stronger and more severe because of the depths that it goes, the penetration. Okay. So the first ingredient I'm going to get into is CBD oil. CBD oils are a more recent topic in the last few years, but are really popular and cutting edge and a pretty incredible product used in skincare, in addition to being used internally. As far as skincare goes, CBD oil is high in antioxidants, vitamins, and omega-3s, is anti-inflammatory, very hydrating, as well as non-comedogenic. Non-comedogenic means that it doesn't clog the pores. So what this means is this oil is a really well-versed product, and it's good for balancing many different types of skin conditions. As far as addressing wrinkles, sagging, and aging, because CBD is very high in antioxidants and it's rich in vitamin C and E, it prevents the acceleration of the aging process by fighting those free radical damage and the sun damage, which are contributing factors to wrinkles, aging skin, and the breakdown of collagen. It also contains a good amount of vitamins A and D, which promote cell regeneration, boosting the elasticity and stimulate the collagen production. And it's very hydrating. It's known to help balance the skin's sebum production. So when skin is too dry and dehydrated, it boosts the oil glands to produce more sebum to plump and to smooth the skin. Now, in Chinese medicine, CBD and hemp seed is considered to be very moistening and hydrating by nourishing the yin and the blood. And it also has heat clearing and anti-inflammatory qualities. So another interesting factor with CBD to understand is that we have endocannabinoid receptors in our epidermis, hair follicles, and sebaceous glands, which the CBD interacts with, and it helps to generate new skin cells. So it works on many different levels here. And one last note about CBD is that it's a wonderful topical analgesic. So not every client or practitioner wants to use numbing cream, and this is a really effective alternative to soften the edge of the stimulation of microneedling. And it also helps to dampen that inflammatory response that we were talking about earlier. So it's really wonderful for healing the skin combined with microneedling. So next is green tea oil. Green tea essential oil is extracted from the seeds of the green tea plant. It's also known as camellia oil. Research has shown that it can improve UV damage, acne, and aging because of its anti-inflammatory properties, high levels of antioxidants, and hydrating qualities. So again, high levels of antioxidants. It's used both preventatively to protect against UVA and UVB damage, as well as used to heal DNA damage against sun exposure. So similar to CBD in the way of having high antioxidants. So it helps to repair and rejuvenate collagen, which in turn helps to reduce wrinkles and fine lines, as well as improve the skin elasticity. And finally, we have mushrooms. Mushrooms are another ingredient that are becoming more popular in the skincare industry. So within Chinese medicine, we're familiar with the wonderful healing, immune boosting, and adaptogenic properties, among other properties when taken internally. For skincare, this is a wonderful ingredient because it's very high in antioxidants, vitamin D, and selenium, offering benefits of hydration, wound healing, reversing free radical damage, as well as calming redness, brightening the skin, and reducing dark spots and hyperpigmentation. So there's a number of different types of mushrooms that are being used, and different mushrooms have different benefits. So a couple examples of mushrooms that are good for wrinkles, sagging, and aging are one, reishi mushrooms, and that's the picture here. These are really great for hydrating and healing the skin due to the levels of beta-glucans and triterpenes, which support the skin's natural ability to lock in the hydration and to retain moisture, which of course helps to smooth and plump dry skin. There's also cauliflower mushrooms. These are beneficial for reducing wrinkles also because of that beta-glucan content, and is considered to help with anemia and red blood cells. So it has a blood boosting quality, and it's important for our skin's internal hydration and plumping to have good blood flow and blood. Chaga is another one, which is also super high in antioxidants, again, fighting free radical damage and oxidative stress, therefore combating aging skin, wrinkles and sagging, as well as irritation and inflammation. So lots of options. Of course, we could go on for hours on skincare products and ingredients, but these are a few to get you started, and these are really great ones. So Diana's going to start going into the microneedling protocol itself here.
Thank you. So first, we'd like to acknowledge that our training in facial renewal acupuncture with Mary Elizabeth Wakefield has taught us that addressing your patient's constitutional health is essential to the effectiveness and integrity of the acupuncture process. And her philosophy has influenced the foundations of this integrative microneedling course that we created together. So thank you, Mary Elizabeth. And also each acupuncturist that we work with has a different background and level of experience with acupuncture and with the specialty of facial renewal acupuncture. So we highly recommend that you have facial renewal acupuncture training in addition to learning about microneedling. But what we do is we provide a flexible, holistic microneedling protocol with the intention that practitioners will treat the whole person's body, mind, spirit, emotions, using the acupuncture styles and adjunctive therapies that best resonate with them. So here's an example of the kind of testimonials that we want acupuncturists to receive from their integrative microneedling patients. Here's one. I started getting integrative microneedling sessions with Diana 6 months ago. I've had 5 treatments with her, and after the very first one, immediately saw an improvement. My skin looked plumper, firmer, and had a glow that I had not seen for a long time. Her care and attention to my overall health is what sold me on going with her approach rather than microneedling from a dermatologist. You won't just get a facial, improved skin, and radiant glow, you'll also experience overall health benefits, such as improved sleep, that holistically support your entire being. I highly recommend her services. So that was one of my patients who I just saw for a maintenance session last night as well. Here. So we're going to give you a quick idea of what kind of supplies you'll need and want, which will also give you an idea of the tools and modalities that we incorporate into our integrative microneedling protocol. And by the way, many of these supplies can be purchased through LASA OMS, and I saw that they're having a sale now on several of these items. So for microneedling, you're going to need at least one of these devices, a motorized microneedling device, and this is a more significant investment. We go through the different types of devices in depth in our courses. The one that we prefer has a tapping motion rather than a sliding motion. Then you have the microneedling device needle heads or cartridges. Those are 0.25 millimeter, 0.5, or 1 millimeter. And then the dermarollers or dermastampers, and those are, again, 0.25, 0.5, 1 millimeter, possibly 1.5 millimeter when working on scars. You'll want ear seeds or press needles or magnets, and we recommend starting out with those options and then moving into acupuncture needles if your patients feel comfortable with them. And the facial products, and Amelia shared the basics with you about that. So then we have some optional supplies. We have aromatherapy, essential oil blends for relaxation and grounding. Our favorites are frankincense, lavender, and vetiver. And you can place a drop on the tip of your patient's nose and the side of their shoulders and the soles of their feet. And then tuning forks. They are just optimal for gently and powerfully moving chi through the meridians and for grounding energy. And they're an art and science in and of themselves, but they also beautifully integrate into the microneedling process. So you'd want to start with the mid ohms and low ohms, and definitely buy an activator to avoid bruising your shins when you use them. Then you have the stones or cups for hands. Sometimes people like to hold something, and a heating pad for the abdomen, or a mylar or silk blanket, whatever you can keep germ-free between patients. And then jade rollers. So you want to use 2 together. That's best. And then a gua sha facial tool. You want to go lightly though, just to gently support the chi and the blood circulation. As I said, acupuncture needles for some treatments, and then earplugs if you're using the motorized device, because sometimes patients don't like the sound of the machine by their ears. Then you have a crock pot or a towel warmer and caddy. Warmed wet facial towels. We use cloth diapers for that purpose, and only for that purpose. Then we have cotton rounds, gloves, ceramic bowl, steamer, microcurrent machine, and LED light, which are outside the parameters of this webinar. So when Amelia and I first started experimenting with microneedling in 2015, it was like the Wild West in terms of how Eastern and Western practitioners were performing microneedling. And so Amelia and I were rather confused about what to do. And so we mainly looked at the work of Anthony Kingston, an acupuncturist in Australia, and Dr. Lance Setterfield, who's a dermatologist in Canada. And then we started mapping out what the other experts thought, and then we played around with it, and we combined it with our own clinical experience, and then created our own thing. So even though practitioners' philosophies have converged a bit more now, just know that you'll hear conflicting opinions about how to practice microneedling, and that's part of the evolution of this process. So now we'll go over the nuts and bolts of our unique integrative microneedling protocol. But first of all, let me just explain a little more. This chart covers the types of treatments, and while we share 6 treatment variations in our online and live courses, we'll share 3 types of treatments today. And how much time is the next column should these treatments take, and then how often you should treat for maximum benefit, a snapshot of our integrative microneedling protocol, and the benefits that these specific treatments offer. We give our students an adaptable copy of a similar chart to share with their prospective patients when coming up with a treatment plan, so that we can be clear and transparent about patient expectations. All right, here we go. So first we have the motorized microneedling standalone. That takes approximately an hour. You want to do it, since it's motorized, once every 4 to 6 weeks. And you want to have a series of about 4 to 6 treatments. And then this is just a snapshot of our protocol. I'll just read it once. So first you'll cleanse and then apply the facial oil. And then you'll do your patient comfort techniques, like those cups in the hands or the mylar blanket or whatever. And then you put in the body, you do the body points. You do the tuning forks, the press needles, the seeds. Then you cleanse and tone the skin a second time to prepare for the motorized microneedling. And you want to do that on the face, the neck, the décolleté, and even gallbladder 21 to ground the energy down. That liver energy tends to rise. And then you want to apply a serum or facial oil, and then apply the tuning forks to kidney 1 and 3 for grounding. So some of the benefits are you'll get a very strong strengthening of the collagen, and then it can address targeted skin syndromes, and wrinkles and sagging are just a few of them. It covers a broad surface area rather quickly. It increases product absorption, and there's a very low possibility of bruising. I know I found that surprising, but you're also going very shallowly. And it provides those internal balancing with the tuning forks, the press seeds, the press needles, the seeds, and or acupuncture. So next you'll have the dermarolling and dermastamping standalone, and that's approximately an hour. And you'll use like a 0.5 millimeter once weekly for the dermarolling and dermastamping, and then you want to recommend a series of at least 10 sessions. And then you'll use up to a 1 millimeter with moderate or heavy stimulation every 4 to 6 weeks. It's almost like mimicking the motorized microneedling. And you'll do the same thing in terms of protocol. And we don't find the epidermal strengthening quite as strong as with the motorized microneedling. We'll just be honest about that. And then lastly, we have the dermarolling and dermastamping incorporated into facial renewal acupuncture. So that's really just about 10 minutes included into a facial renewal acupuncture session. You can do a 0.5 millimeter with a light stim once a week, or that 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeters once per month. And remember, the benefits of facial rejuvenation acupuncture are there's more of a lifting and toning of the facial muscles, and there's also that you're spending so much more time with them, and it's very there's a lot of internal balancing going on. All right, that's it.
Great. So we're going to show you a little just a little overview of what a treatment looks like. This is a social media post that the J Lounge Spa in Boulder posted. That's where I work, of me doing this treatment. So Jeffrey, if you can play that video, please. Great, thanks. All right, Diana.
All right. Thank you. Just lost my spot. Hold on a second. Well, microneedling is very, very popular. And Amelia and I strongly believe that the acupuncture profession needs to board the microneedling train before it has left the station. And there's been an incredible amount of press about microneedling in recent years. So celebrities including Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow of Goop fame, and Brad Pitt all tout the benefits of microneedling. And it's been featured in articles in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Elle and In Style, and in shows like The View, The Today Show, The Rachel Ray Show, The Kelly and Ryan Show, Morning Show, and the list just goes on. And so microneedling's name recognition and popularity provide millions of dollars worth of free advertising for acupuncturists to share its amazing skin rejuvenating benefits with our patients.
And I just wanted to add too that this is a really great way to use something that's already popular and being advertised to integrate Chinese medicine's health benefits into that.
That's right.
All right, so this wraps up our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited and proud to announce that we are launching our new Integrative Microneedling for Acupuncturists online training program tonight. We have been working very hard to reformat our material from our live seminars into an asynchronous online training program. With both our online program and our live seminars, it really is our intention to present you with neutral, in-depth information on microneedling to bridge Eastern and Western perspectives on the subject. Besides all of the experience that we have with hands-on microneedling on our own clients and on ourselves, which is a lot, we've also done a lot of research on the subject and tend to really geek out on it. We want to share with you the different ways you can integrate it into your acupuncture practice and how to navigate subjects like legalities, scope of practice, marketing, the list goes on. And the cosmetic field tends to be one that's really rapidly changing and progressing. And we feel that it's really important to stay up to speed on all of these progressions. This includes not only techniques and benefits, but also skincare products and how microneedling interfaces with other cosmetic treatments. Microneedling can be a really wonderful and lucrative addition to one's acupuncture practice, which is very exciting. But it's also a really cool way to open the door to a different clientele, where we're able to provide so much more than just a cosmetic result for somebody or service. And because our background in acupuncture and Asian medicine, we have a lot to contribute to people.
Right. So in our new online course, some of the benefits are that you'll earn 11 NCCAOM CEUs, which is hefty. You'll have access to detailed protocol videos and reinforce your knowledge with review questions after each chapter and a final exam. You'll get personalized support during and after the course from us through our online communities. And you'll be able to use our customizable, downloadable documents to quickly and easily integrate this microneedling into your practice. And then you'll become certified with EastWest Microneedling after completing this online course and participating in an additional clinically supervised online training this fall. So in celebration of launching our new online training program tonight, which is over 9 months in the making, and it feels like Amelia and I are birthing an enormous, very well-developed baby together, we're offering some specials. So this first special is for L.A.C. OMS webinar viewers. The first 5 participants who register for our and complete the microneedling online training program will be invited to join our live 1-hour online practicum class for free. And you'll practice your motorized microneedling, dermarolling, or dermastamping skills while receiving feedback from Amelia and myself. And this complimentary class will be scheduled sometime in the fall. And lastly, you'll receive our introductory price of $387, which is a $100 discount through October 31st of this year. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're ready for questions.
Well, we have a lot of them, so let's get right into it.
All right.
So first question is from Pamela, and she wondered, are stem cells located in the dermis or the epidermis, or both?
So the stem cells, they're in the epidermis, but they're in that basement layer of the epidermis, which is right above the dermis and right at the bottom of the epidermis.
All right. And then when is the injury caused by microneedling too much in terms of frequency and depth?
So as far as frequency, it would be if it's more often than the healing cascade, because you're continuing to trigger that inflammatory response, and then that it doesn't let it complete its cascade. So anything less than 4 weeks, basically, is too often. And then too deep, that's a a big question that a lot of people have different philosophies on, and you'll probably get a lot of different answers depending on who you talk to. My opinion and Diana's is that you really want to hit that basement layer, that ED junction. And so it's usually about a 0.5 that you're getting the penetration to. Now, which needle you use, you can use your own level of pressure to get to that right spot, basically. Right.
And also, it depends upon what condition you're treating. If you're treating a scar, for example, it's very fibrous, you'll want to use a longer needle. And it's so funny, we're talking about, length of needles. They're so tiny. We're talking about like 0.25 millimeter versus, 0.5 millimeters, right?
You can barely see them.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
All right. Next question, moving right along. Have you ever done this on animals, and really in regards to scarring on animals?
I have not. No.
I have not either. That's an interesting idea, though.
And next question, what are some of the best plum blossoms to use so we can achieve cosmetic results for anti-aging in our patients? And how can we get trained on this technique?
I'm not sure what they mean by plum blossoms. Are they talking about the 7-star hammer?
Yep.
Okay. Well, do you sell them at Los OMS?
We do.
All right. Then I would assume that quality is the best quality for a 7-star hammer needle.
But it depends on where you're doing it and how long the needle is. So if it's on the face, you want to make sure that it's a smaller needle. And I think that the stamping, like the dermastamping devices, are a little more similar to plum blossom, even though they're not a hammer. They're kind of have a handle and you can press down. But it's a similar technique, if you will. But if it's on the body, then a different needle size works.
And to be clear, in our live course and online course, we're not teaching the plum blossom technique. We're teaching what we consider to be an evolution of the plum blossom technique, which is microneedling. And the closest that, in terms of devices that you come to that, is a dermastamper, and that is I don't know if you sell them, Jeffrey. Do you sell them at Los OMS?
We do not. The closest thing that we sell is the Hydra needle, and the so it has like the little basin where you can put the serum in it, and it has it looks similar to the head of a 7-star.
Yeah, that would be similar. Yeah.
And that's from AccuLift.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's see. Next question. Do you have a favorite brand of motorized microneedling that you recommend? And are you both licensed estheticians?
I'm licensed esthetician. And
I am not.
Yeah, we do have a favorite brand. It's ProCell, and it's a stamping device versus a sliding pen.
And we're also intrigued with the InnoPro device, which is it's similar to the ProCell device in that it has a tapping motion rather than the sliding motion, but it also, you can vary the length of the needle in the cartridge, so during a treatment.
And that one looks like a pen, but you're actually manually stamping it.
Right.
All right. And then, can you do microneedling after a patient has had Botox or Juvederm? And if so, how long do you recommend? Or how long do you do this? Or how long after do you do this? Sorry.
Yeah. So again, there will be some different answers depending on if you're talking to a dermatologist or us or someone else. We tend to be a little bit more conservative in this area. They usually say 2 weeks after. We usually like to say 4 weeks after any injection. You just don't want to be stimulating that area after an injection.
Right. You don't want to possibly cause that substance to move to another area.
Sounds like good advice to me. Let's see. Next one. Ooh, really good question. They're all really good. How do you schedule microneedling treatments? If I'm using 2 rooms, how much time do I need to schedule to do this? Taking into consideration that numbing cream might need to be applied and left on for a period of time.
Okay. Well, we strongly believe that you should really focus in on one patient at a time when you're practicing integrative microneedling, because it is such an in-depth, holistic process. And and it is lucrative. It is well worth your time. So yeah, you don't want to be hopping back and forth between rooms. And what was the second part of that question?
The numbing.
Oh, the numbing cream. Yeah. Well, we've taken that into account in terms of our holistic protocol. So you're doing the facial, and then the application of what we use is CBD oil first, and then you move into working on the body, and that gives it time, the numbing cream or the CBD oil, time to do its work.
Mm-hmm. Numbing cream you typically want to leave on like 15, 20 minutes. So that might be a flexible time, but the way we've integrated the protocols, we're doing body points during that time. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I think you pretty much just answered this. So, so you're saying you numb the skin at the beginning,
yes,
while before you do the body treatment.
Yes. And we usually, yeah.
Okay, and then next question is, so this person is not certified for acupuncture in the United States, but is currently certified in Ireland, but going to get certification in the US. Can she take your course?
We'll have to talk about that, but we'd love for you to reach out to us.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So Sheila, I put the link to their website, so feel free to go in and contact them through their website.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Yes.
You're very welcome. Also, you will all get an email 5 minutes after we end that will also have a link with all the information that we gave. And then next question is there an actual certification for microneedling?
Yes, there is. We are not giving the certification if you just take our online integrative course, because we really want to see you practice. We want to see you in action and make sure that you are really competent and wonderful at what you're doing. So that's why we're scheduling these online practicums that unfortunately will not give CEUs at this time, but the NCCAOM is working on that. So that's what that promotion was, where we're going to give the first 5 people who register for our course from this webinar the opportunity to practice with us for free for the first time.
Perfect. And then let's see. Do you have, I mean, this might be a tough question to ask, but do you have a recommended price structure for, how you would, figure out the fee for microneedling plus the treatment?
You want to say that, Amelia?
I mean, I would say standard prices for microneedling really vary across the country. And so it's largely going to depend on where you are locally and what people are charging locally. I've seen prices from, $250, $350 to $650. And I would say that you want to look at what you charge in your treatments for regular acupuncture, and you want to consider the cost of the supplies and the devices, and you're going to accommodate for that. And then you're going to look at what people are charging in your community and kind of go somewhere similar there, competitive.
Yeah, there's a really interesting website called realself.com, REALSELF.com, and that is where lay people can ask experts questions about dermatology, about different kinds of cosmetic procedures, and in there it tells you what the average cost of that procedure is, and so it's very interesting to get on there. And I do recommend that you narrow down in the preferences of what you want them to send you information about, because you'll be getting info about all kinds of crazy things like Brazilian butt lifts and such. So at any rate, yeah, look in there and sign up there, and then also you'll start to see what the Western specialists charge, and you'll price accordingly.
Perfect. All right, and then let's see, we have a few more questions here. Can you tell us which numbing creams and CBD oils that you use?
Yeah, I mostly use CBD oil, and the spa that I work at has a product line called JL Essentials, and they have serums and CBD serums, and that's typically what I'm using. Occasionally, I'll use a numbing cream, and I'm not even remembering the name of that numbing cream. It's so rare that I use it.
And most acupuncturists around the country don't have prescription rights or prescriptive rights, and so so we can't typically get the strength of numbing cream that dermatologists and medical estheticians can use. So I believe it's up to 4% lidocaine. Is over the counter stuff that you can get on Amazon. That is what is available to us. And a lot of the numbing creams have a lot of additives in them, and your patients might be allergic to them. So, and so that combined with the fact that CBD oil has such wonderful properties that Amelia told you about is why we choose CBD.
Yep.
And for the CBD oils that you guys use, do you take like a pure CBD oil that somebody would probably do like sublingually and then just put a little bit on the face, or is it an actual topical that's formulated specifically for facial?
The one that we use is actually a facial serum, and clients can take CBD internally too before the treatment. But
in some states,
I was gonna say, in Colorado, I'm guessing many of them do.
In most states,
yeah.
In Colorado, I assume many of your patients are doing it.
Right. Indeed. Yeah.
Let's see. Next question. I'm an acupuncture student, and I would like to know if we need an additional certification or license for microneedling, or just as a licensed acupuncturist, it's within the scope.
Diana.
Would you repeat the question? I'm not quite sure what that means.
So this person just wants to know if when she graduates acupuncture school, if microneedling will be in her scope, or does she need an additional certification to be able to microneedle?
That is all up in the air right now. We have a whole long section in our program about the legalities around microneedling, because as I said, it was kind of like the Wild West for a while, and now it's becoming more regulated. Like at this time, there's no states that require additional training to perform microneedling. And then we get into issues around whether microneedling, like the name of it, has to be in your scope of practice, or if it just can be, interpreted by whatever governing bodies are in your state as being within your scope of practice. And where Amelia and I are working closely with the Acupuncture Association of Colorado to firmly and clearly get microneedling into our scope of practice. And that also leads us to another issue, which is that some of the big insurance companies are saying that they, in order to cover you, they want you to be, they want it to be, they say, well, we'll cover whatever is in your scope of practice. So that's why we have to be really clear about what is in our scope of practice. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay.
All right. It is definitely best, I think, for everybody to just check within their own state, maybe even check with their state association or their state board and see if there's an idea. But all right. Oh, well, so I just wanted to say, it looks like we have answered all of the questions. I do see a couple people commenting that they were trying to enroll in the class, and that when you click on the enroll now, it doesn't send them to a registration page. So I don't know if that's something that will be kind of updated later. But if everybody can see that their email address is on the screen right here. So it's eastwestmicroneedling@gmail.com. So I would suggest maybe shooting an email to you guys.
Yeah, and on the website too, there's a link that you can press to send us an email that you're interested in registering if it's not up. So we'll double check that and make sure, fix whatever.
We'll do that as soon as we get off of the webinar. We'll make sure that it's active and live. Our apologies.
No, nothing to apologize about. We just have some anxious people that want to be in the first 5 to get their registration in. So their email address is in the chat. Their website's in the chat. Everybody check your email 5 minutes after we end. You'll get a copy of the slides, also the recording if you need, if you missed anything and want to rewatch anything. We want to thank Diana and Amelia for all of their amazing information and for taking the time to share this with us tonight. Our next webinar is going to be next Wednesday, and it is going to be on neuroscience and treating post-COVID syndrome. So neuroacupuncture for treating post-COVID-19 syndrome and challenging neurological disorders, featuring Dr. Jason Howe with the Neuroacupuncture Institute. So definitely check out the link that's also in your email for that event, and we hope to see everybody next time.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. This was wonderful, and everybody have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.